I'm Tinabeth Pina. From Mickey Mouse Club ears to the counterculture of the hippie generation, baby boomers have continually reinvented themselves, and it's never been more apparent than when it comes to their retirement.
If enough of the baby boomers really get onto this encore movement and think about making sure that this last stage of work is going to have some impact in the world, they may be remembered more for what they did in their 60s than in the 60s.
Marcy Allbauer is the author of the Encore Career Handbook, which looks at how baby boomers are exploring alternatives to traditional retirement.
There seems to be two kind of parallel narratives going on. There are the people who can't afford to retire because they realize they're going to be living longer, their retirement accounts have been decimated, or they've been laid off. And then there are people who, even if they've planned well and they can't afford to retire, they have no interest in retiring. We've added years where people are still healthy and vital and expect to be contributing. So this idea of moving to the Sun Belt, it's just not resonating for people anymore.
The 55 to 64 age group is the fastest growing segment of the U.S. workforce. And according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, almost 1 out of 4 workers will be 55 and older by 2018, a fact that doesn't always bode well with their younger coworkers.
People tend to stigmatize older workers and say, well, they can't do the job, or they're going to be absent more, or they'll have health problems. Interestingly, the evidence is that older Americans actually are quite productive workers. And there's been some studies of this that show that they learn quickly. They can master the new skills. So as I said, it's a stigma that's undeserved.
While this capable, highly educated, and sizable segment of the U.S. population is motivated to work beyond typical retirement age, others are forced into the door of reinvention.
For me, being laid off, although it made me angry, it was an opportunity to now find something that's meaningful for me. Losing a job, finding a life.
When James Cunin was laid off from his corporate job, his new job search led him back to his hobby, teaching ESL to immigrants.
Teaching English at LaGuardia, I don't have to leave part of myself at the door. How many people can say that when you go into work in the morning, that you can take all of you into your job? You don't leave any of you outside at the door. That's a job that lets you feel like you are fully you, and that's a wonderful feeling.
James was able to take his passion, get some training in it, continue volunteering, and finally land a job. But not all baby boomers have that luxury.
In the late 90s, everybody was talking about, I'll retire when I'm in my 50s, I'll make pottery, my 401k is fat, I'm doing fine. And now older Americans are saying, wait a minute. My house is worth a third less than it was before. I had to use my 401k savings to support myself or maybe my children.
Baby boomer Mae Wuthrich found herself thinking about how she and her husband could afford sending their 14-year-old to college in a few years.
The economic realities of the times that we live in are just very different from our parents' generation. We knew that we were going to be putting a kid through college, and there was no thought of not working.
So to cope with this uncertain economy, Mae used her film and publishing backgrounds to reinvent herself into a successful audiobook producer.
I wanted to do something different. I wanted to continue to work. I wanted to continue to make money. And it was something that I wanted to try. And I didn't know what the outcome would be. Since I had been in publishing, I was able to meet with all the big publishers, and I got a job. And that was sort of the beginning of my journey.
Although the reinvention journey that Mae and James found themselves on followed a different roadmap, their final destination was a successful second career.
Depending on what you want to do, the path is different. So it's everything from doing some internal assessing and figuring out what it is you want to do, then to figuring out where there might be opportunities for you. And then there's usually a period of trying stuff out. It's just like what young people go through in their 20s.
By 2030, 70 million Americans will be age 65 and older and will comprise 20 to 25% of the total U.S. population, compared with only 13% today. Their retirements will dramatically affect the future of America's workforce. For CUNY TV, I'm Tinabeth Pina.